of how my cervical dysplasia progressed, then keep watching. But if this would just completely bore you, then skip ahead to this time frame right here and it'll jump you straight into what I did. Okay, so back in 2009, I went to Planned Parenthood to get on birth control, and at this appointment, they wanted to do a pap smear. That's when I first found out that I had HPV, and they said that I had abnormal cells on my cervix. They wanted to do a colposcopy to diagnostically check the cervix and make sure that they were getting the right results with the pap smear. At this point, I pretty much just completely ignored them. I never called them back. I never scheduled the colposcopy. And the reason was because I just was so freaked out. I mean, first of all, I find out that I have an STD, which was horrifying in itself. And then on top of that, they tell me that I have some cells growing on my cervix that are precancerous. And so I just did what any American would do, or really anyone in the world, and I got on Google and did a Google search, and I found two things. One was that most likely my body was going to be able to just get rid of the HPV, especially if it was in the early stages, on its own. And the other thing that I found was that if my body doesn't get rid of HPV, then it is very serious and it can lead to something like cervical cancer. I decided to believe the first story on that and just said, okay, you know what? This is great. My body's just going to kick it on its own. I'm going to ignore this and pretend like it never happened and just never go to the doctor again because ignorance is bliss. Yeah, I don't suggest anyone doing that because fast forward to 2015, I am pregnant and I have to go in for a pap smear, of course. And they did find that I had HPV. And this time that my cervical dysplasia was now at a stage 3. So they told me that it wasn't a good idea for me to have a colposcopy because they didn't want to mess with my cervix during my pregnancy, and just told me that after I had my baby to come back in for the colposcopy to get the biopsy done. So I am pregnant and I am terrified. There's so many things that were going through my head. You know, I was scared that it was going to turn into something like cancer, or that it already was and they just weren't finding it on the pap smear. I was scared that I wasn't going to be able to have more children. I mean, I wanted to be around to watch my daughter grow up. And so there was just so many things that were going through my mind. Probably for a week, I allowed myself to just freak out. I lost my appetite. I was so nauseous. I mean, you ladies watching right now are watching because you probably went through something similar like this. So you know how it feels. And after about a week of just making myself completely miserable, I decided that I was going to stop thinking these negative thoughts and that I was just going to start being proactive in my mind. And for me, this was completely just putting my whole heart into trusting God. And every time after this, I would start to think about it and I would start to dwell on it. I would just change my thoughts to start thinking about how much God has already done for me up to this point. Just get thankful for different things in my life and just know that He loves me and He's going to heal me. So I really recommend going to God during this time because He is going to help you if you ask Him. Fast forward to April of 2016, I am now 5 months postpartum and I go in to have my colposcopy done. I had an awesome OBGYN. She was really sweet, very understanding, and just made me feel really comfortable. And I think she took 5 to 8 different areas on my cervix for the biopsy. And it was, for those of you who haven't had a colposcopy, they are really not painful. I mean, it feels like a little pinch, a little bit of pressure, but it's nothing to be worried about. And so she took the tissue samples, and then 2 weeks later she called me and she told me that there was good news and bad news, and that the good news was I didn't have cervical cancer, and the bad news is that I was the stage right before they were going to develop into cervical cancer cells. And so it was high grade, stage 3. And she told me that at this point, she had never seen anybody's body just be able to heal on its own. And that after all this time and the progression, that if my body was going to kick the HPV, it would have done so by now. And so she recommended that I have a procedure done that is called the LEEP, L-E-E-P. And basically what this does is it takes a laser and it fries off the abnormal cells on your cervix. And this is not guaranteed that the abnormal cells won't grow back. What she said to me was that they're just trying to prevent cancer from growing, and hoping that my body was just going to get rid of the HPV in this time, that they were going to be doing these treatments on me. And that to me just wasn't an option for a lot of reasons, but I just told her that I wanted to try natural therapies and try natural alternatives and see if my body could go ahead and just get rid of this if I was giving it what it needed. And, you know, she wasn't really thrilled about this. She didn't want me to wait any longer. In her experience, again, she had never seen anyone be able to have success healing on their own. And so she was very respectful though, and she just said, okay, I don't agree with this, and I'd rather you have the LEEP done, but let's give you 6 months to try your natural alternatives, come back in, have a pap smear, we're gonna recheck you at this time, and then we'll kind of go from there with the treatments I'm recommending. So just as a side note, I did wait 4 months until starting any natural alternative supplements. And the reason is because I was exclusively breastfeeding my daughter at this time, and I just was really concerned that anything that I would take would go through my breast milk and get into her body. So I wanted to be sure that the supplements that I was going to be taking weren't going to be doing anything to put toxins into her body. Especially if my body was going to be releasing toxins or releasing parasites, I didn't want it to get to her. So I did lots and lots and lots of reading and research and reading and research and reading and research during these 4 months until August of 2016. And that is when I finally decided that I had enough information and that I was going to go ahead and use these natural alternatives that I had found. So after doing all of this reading and research and praying to God and just asking Him to give me answers and to show me what to do, I decided that I was going to naturally treat myself in 2 ways. The first way that I was going to do this was to just boost my body's immune system using supplements. And the second way that I was going to do this was just to remove any toxins or chemicals that I was putting into my body that was suppressing my immune system. So the first supplement that I'm going to talk about is called BETA-GLUCAN. Looks like this. The bottle says RYL Beta 500. And for those of you who have never heard of BETA-GLUCAN before, this is what is known as an immune modulator. And that means that it basically takes your immune system, which is comprised of your white blood cells, from these cute little monkeys to silverback gorillas that are going to kick some booty. You want these guys on your side. You want your immune system to be working at its full capacity. And this is what BETA-GLUCAN basically does. BETA-GLUCAN is the most researched immune system stimulant. And there's been over 140,000 different research studies and peer-reviewed articles. You can all find them here at pubmed.com. And over 8,000 of these articles are specifically about BETA-GLUCAN in regards to cancer and all kinds of cancers. So you guys really need to check this out and do your own research on it, because I think you're going to be amazed at what researchers are finding. BETA-GLUCAN is a polysaccharide that can be found in the cell wall of things like yeast, fungi, bacteria, just to name a few. And a man by the name of A.J. Lanigan found with his own research and his team that BETA-GLUCAN is most effective when it is derived from the cell walls of yeast. And he also made beta-glucan very affordable because he found a way to manufacture it for a much cheaper cost. And beta-glucan used to be very, very, very expensive. And now I paid for this beta-glucan, which is AJ Lanigan's version. I paid $75 a month. Now, everyone's going to be different with how much they pay because it's all based on weight. And the bottle says to take 1 capsule daily per 55 pounds of body weight. So I took 2 capsules a day on an empty stomach. And then you wait 30 minutes till you eat breakfast. Personally, this to me is gold, and I will continue taking beta-glucan for the rest of my life. I'm going to be taking it in a much lower dose. This dose was for people who have the monkey on their back and who have something that's going on with their body that really you've got to boost your immune system up really high. But the much lower dose just brings your immune system at a good functioning level for the average healthy person. So at $75 per month, I spent a total of $450 on beta-glucan. So the second supplement that I took during the 6-month period is called AHCC. This is what the bottle looks like. This brand in particular is called Empower, but I did use 2 different brands during this time. One that I got here from the vitamin shop, and the other one I just purchased on Amazon. So AHCC is a derivative of different mushroom extracts, and it's used in Japan mostly on chemotherapy patients because it helps to boost their immune systems and to prevent them from dealing with getting more sick or all these other complications that can come with chemotherapy and radiation. But they have found that in studies, mice have been able to completely clear the HPV in their body when given AHCC. Studies were then done on humans and women in particular who had HPV and I think stage 1 cervical dysplasia. And they also found in these clinical trials that these women were able to clear the HPV out of their bodies as well. And I think now they're doing the phase 2 clinical trials where they're using more women and seeing if they can, do higher stages of the cervical dysplasia. So the way that AHCC works is, again, it's an immune stimulant. It boosts up your immune system. It says that it maintains the peak natural killer cell function. It supports your cytokine production, and it promotes optimal T cell and macrophage activity. So it maintains your peak natural killer cell function, which your natural killer cells are your white blood cells, and these are your bad boys. These are the Navy SEALs of your body, and they're gonna go in behind enemy lines and just slit throats like crazy. You want these guys working well. You want them at their peak function. So there are no known side effects of AHCC or beta-glucan. The only side effects that I had during this 6-month period was that I did not get sick at all. And if you guys remember just a few months ago and more recently, there's been some nasty flus going around that have just been lasting a long time, but I never had any issues for the period that I was taking this. And even my daughter, she didn't get sick either. So I'd say that's a pretty good side effect to have if you're gonna have a side effect from a medication. So the only con to AHCC is that it is pricey. I spent anywhere from $150 a month to $250 a month on this supplement. If you use the link that I'm going to post below to buy the brand from Amazon.com, it is going to be cheaper. And at $150 per month, I spent $900 total during the 6 months on AHCC. So that's what I did as far as supplements go. This next one, I actually made my own suppositories. So for those of you who don't know what a suppository is, it's just another way to deliver a drug or medication into your body. And in this case, I made vaginal suppositories. So the way that I made these was I bought this little cute heart mold on Amazon. And I think it was like $7. It was so cheap. And I used coconut oil as my base carrier. And I used 2 essential oils. The first essential oil that I used was lemongrass. And the second essential oil that I used was lemon. So the reason that I use lemongrass and lemon essential oils is because, again, me and my studies, I found different studies that I will link below, but basically lemongrass was found to completely stop, reverse, and kill cancer cells, specifically on the cervix. And lemon essential oil was able to completely stop cervical cancer cells in their tracks. So I know that I didn't have cervical cancer, but my thought process was, why not? I just want to make sure that I'm covering all my bases, and it definitely can't hurt to do something topically with my cervix. Okay, so let's talk about how I made them. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your $8 coconut oil, depending on where you get it from, and you're just going to gently melt it down on the stovetop in a pan. Gently, very, very gently. Coconut oil will melt in your hand, so just on a very low temperature. Watch your coconut oil, and as soon as it melts, take it off the stove, pour it into a little container, and then add your essential oil drops. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna mix it together. It's gonna be a liquid, and then you're gonna take your cute little heart mold, and you're gonna take a bulb syringe is what I used, and then just fill each little heart. Then you are going to take your heart mold and you're gonna put it in the freezer. You're gonna leave it in the freezer for 2 hours, and then they're all gonna be hard in here. So you're gonna pop them out of the mold and you're gonna put them in an airtight jar. I love mason jars. And it looks like that. Very small. So leave this in the fridge because you don't want your coconut hearts to melt. So, I mean, I don't know how much more I need to explain, but 3 nights a week, I would take one of my happy little hearts and just put it in my vagina as far as I could go. And then I would run and jump into bed and then go straight to sleep. So it was the very last thing that I did at night before I went to bed. And then I just figured this would be the best way to use gravity to try to get it to coat my cervix. And there are no side effects with this. I mean, it didn't sting, it didn't burn. If anything, you're just gonna smell really good down there, and that's not a problem. That's not a bad thing. So the total amount that I spent in this 6-month period was $1,400. And to me, that is nothing because what I paid had a huge payoff. And if you're thinking, this is really expensive, I don't know if I can afford this, let me help you to budget, because people do not know how to budget their money these days. And I can guarantee you, if this is something that you want to do and you want to try for yourself, you can do it. Probably with the money that you're making right now. For example, do you need your fancy coffees? Do you need to go to the tanning bed? Do you really need to have your nails done? What about all the times that you go out to eat at restaurants? The money you spend on alcohol at bars, on cigarettes? There's so many different ways for you to save money. And a lot of times what we think that we're spending that is just an absolute necessity is really just a luxury that you don't need. If you really want something, nothing's going to be able to stop you. So So speaking of fancy coffees and eating out at restaurants and going to the tanning bed, let's talk about part 2 of my natural treatments. And that was to remove any toxins and chemicals out of my body so that my immune system could be freed up and to be able to really work the way that it should be working. When we are suppressing our immune systems with just what we're doing in our day-to-day lives, our immune system is so busy just trying to deal with the food that we're eating and the chemicals that we're putting on our bodies that it can't focus on things like cancer or HPV virus or anything where it really needs to be paying attention. And I know some people are like, oh, I just want to take the supplements and then it'll be fine because everybody wants a magic pill. But that's not how life works. And just to put this in perspective for you guys, if you were to go to a car shop and to buy an automobile, and the car that you choose is either going to have a gas pedal or a brake, which one would you choose? Neither. It's impossible. You can't have the brake without the gas pedal. You can't have the gas pedal without the brake. They need to be working together. You need to have them in the same vehicle. And it's the same with our bodies. We need to do things to boost our immune system, but we also need to do things that are going to remove the toxins and remove all of the junk that's basically backing it up. So get rid of that. Okay? Just do it. Just do it. It's not that hard. So I'm going to share with you guys a little story about my friend named Sally. And Sally is a 30-year-old woman who is seemingly healthy and has a great career where she's very, very successful. So Sally complains of having fatigue. She has bloating. She does get headaches and that sometimes can turn into migraines. She has different skin issues. She's constipated randomly, and she gets mood swings that she really can't explain why. So a typical day for Sally is she wakes up in the morning, she goes and brushes her teeth, jumps in the shower, shampoos and conditions her hair, then takes her body wash and scrubs from head to toe, stripping her skin of all of its natural protective oils. She then jumps out of the shower, puts on her favorite facial moisturizer, deodorant, lotions up her body. She does her hair with hairspray, mousse, serum, puts on a full face of makeup, and goes into the kitchen because she's running late. So she just throws in some instant oatmeal into the microwave and jumps on the road. She then stops by her favorite coffee spot for her favorite sugary coffee drink, or worse, her favorite sugar-free, aspartame-filled coffee drink. She then goes to work where she is bombarded with a lot of stress and a lot of people asking her questions and needing her to make decisions on things. For lunch, she decides to have a salad with some fat-free dressing because she's trying to lose a couple pounds. And she washes that down with a diet soda. She then goes back to work and she starts to feel very exhausted by 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. So she drinks an energy drink and has a protein bar. After work, she's gonna go meet up with her girlfriends at a bar. So she runs home, changes her outfit, throws a lean cuisine into the microwave, and again leaves to go meet her friends at the bar that night. Then goes home, gets to bed late, and does the whole process over the next day. Oh, and I cannot forget the most important part of this story is that Sally is on her period and she goes through about 3 to 6 tampons in her day. Is this starting to make sense? So am I telling you to get rid of your favorite facial moisturizer? No, I'm not telling you to get rid of it. I'm just telling you that there is a lot of things in your day-to-day activities and lifestyle and the things that you're eating that you can change. And we live in such a privileged day and time where we can order anything that we want off the internet. We can go down to our local health food store and there's 10 different options for lotions and 10 different options for deodorants. Or better yet, you can get on Pinterest and find your own DIY lotion recipe or whatever it is. I know that a lot of people complain about not being able to afford something that is organic or natural, but I just don't find this to be true. I think this is just another excuse that people want to make, because I know someone in my personal life who is incredible at budgeting, and she lives on a very, very tight budget, but somehow she manages to make sure that she can eat 100% organic foods and be able to either make her own products or buy these natural products. She does have to make sacrifices in other areas of her life, but really, is it a sacrifice? Is it a sacrifice to be able to take care of your body? Is it a sacrifice to have your health? I don't know. That's for you to decide. For those of you who know me, you know that I am a foodie. I absolutely love food. And this was me and my husband's favorite pastime. We used to go to restaurants like nobody's business. We ate out all the time. I loved going to the gas station and just loading up on candy. That's pretty much what our lives revolved around, really, as far as something fun to do. So I know that if I can give up those things, so can you. Because as much fun as it was to eat all that delicious food, it is so addictive feeling good. I no longer have to deal with mood swings. I'm able to play with my daughter all day long and have the energy that I need instead of feeling exhausted by 4 o'clock. I mean, I could go on and on about all of the conditions in my body that cleared up after we really changed our diets. It took us about 2 years, but we finally have gotten control of it. And it's a step-by-step process. So go easy on yourself. You know, you're not just going to be able to give up everything tomorrow. So make a decision in your mind that you're going to give up one thing at a time, and you're going to start to slowly change your cabinets over to organic ingredients and cut out the things that you think are hurting your body. I definitely recommend doing the elimination diet or trying out the Whole30 diet plan. And this is a really great way to find out what foods are causing certain problems in your body that you just considered were normal, and you took them as everyone has to deal with this and it's a part of life. I know that I found out that I had a lot of different food sensitivities, as did my husband, and it's been great because we no longer have to deal with a lot of the issues that we had. So that is everything that I physically did to get cleared of the HPV and stage 3 cervical dysplasia. And in February, just a few weeks ago, I got the results back from my pap smear that I was completely cleared of HPV and stage 3 cervical dysplasia. And when I got the results, I just bawled my eyes out, and I called my husband and he was yelling. He was so excited. And then I called my sister, and then I called my mom, and then I called my dad, and then I called everyone that I knew that had been praying for me, that was just so supportive during this time in my life, and they were all really positive and helped me. Being positive is such an important part of this journey. You absolutely have to learn to control your mind and your thoughts, because there are going to be times when you want to start to panic. I know that feeling of just being so nauseated and sick to your stomach and waking up at night and thinking these thoughts that are just bringing you down. And the best thing that you can do for that is to go to God and to really, really trust Him. Because y'all, our minds are so powerful, and our physical bodies will manifest what's going on in our hearts. And our heart is determined by what kind of thoughts we are thinking in our mind. So to control your mind is to control your life. And the best way to do it, again, is to trust God. He wants to help you. And I don't care what anyone says. His word says that he wants you to be healthy. He says that he wishes above all things that we are prosperous and healthy. So he is here and he wants to help us, but we have to ask him. We have to go to him. And a verse that really helped me, that every time I started to freak out or every time my mind started to wander down that never-ending path, I would say a verse in my mind in Philippians 4:6, and it says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God." So I dissected this verse and I took every single part of it and I decided, okay, I'm not going to worry. He's telling me not to worry. I'm going to pray and I'm going to get really thankful about everything I have and everything he's going to do for me. And he says to let your requests be made known unto God. We have to tell him because he is listening and he wants to help us. He calls himself our Abba Father. And that is like the most tender, dearest form that you could call your dad. It'd be like a little girl running up to her dad and calling him daddy. And that's how he sees himself in regards to us. So what wouldn't you do for your child? I mean, he is the same way. He made us in the image of himself. So he is like this times 1,000. And so something that really helped me was that whenever I would get thankful for the healing that he was doing inside of my body, I would always imagine my cervix as this beautiful, pink, plump, donut-looking cervix that didn't have a spot. It was just blemish free. And I would visualize this in my mind and I would thank God for the healing that he had already done for me. I know you guys can do this too because I've been there. I've had to deal with the doctors. I've had to deal with trying to make all these decisions and just, researching online and finding nothing. There was just such little information, which is why I am making this video. I am putting all of my personal information on blast to the entire world because if this helps you, it was worth it 1,000,000 times over. Please share this video, like this video. Let's get this information out to as many women as possible and write this stuff down. Tell your girlfriends, if you know someone who's dealing with something like this, tell them that there are things that they can try and they have more options. My child woke up again. This video has been interrupted probably 5 times. My daughter keeps waking up. I don't think I'm ever gonna get through this. So I had to do a lot of research. There really wasn't a lot of information out there. Micaiah! Micaiah! I'm in the guest room. Come here, baby. You found Mama's! His body, and I just decided that the best way to go about it was to I just really don't think this is gonna happen for me today. What do you think, Miss Micaiah? Or cryotherapy, nothing. I hear a baby crying. Burn off the abnormal cells from your cervix. Yeah, I know. Age, just heal randomly. Hi. Never seen anyone at my stage. So she said that she had never seen anyone at my stage heal naturally. Tell everybody what's wrong. Really? I know. A day in the life. This is my assistant. She's gonna help me explain what happened. Micaiah, let's get your perspective from inside the womb. What were you thinking? Wow, really? Oh, you said no. You ain't gonna touch my mama, I need some more brothers and sisters. Oh my gosh, you have blueberry. And it only took me 10 years to make this video for you guys. So this is a labor of love. When you have a baby, anyone who has a baby, especially her age, they know.